Do you remember when saying no to an invitation felt almost impossible? When your calendar overflowed with lunches, celebrations, family gatherings, and spontaneous coffee dates? Back then, the idea of turning down a visit seemed almost disloyal, like you didn't care enough about the people you loved. But now, something has changed. Maybe it's subtle. You feel a little hesitation before you agree to yet another gathering. You wonder if you really need to drive across town for that event. You find yourself reading an invitation and feeling a mix of emotions, perhaps obligation mixed with exhaustion, duty tangled with desire to simply stay home. You might have even wondered if something is wrong with you. Are you becoming antisocial? Are you turning cold? Have you lost interest in people you once cherished? The answer is no. What you're experiencing is clarity. You're beginning to understand what truly matters, and your lifestyle is naturally adjusting to match that understanding. This is where we need to have an honest conversation, because what you're feeling, that shift in your priorities, that pull towards staying home, that reluctance to maintain the same level of social engagement, it's not a flaw. It's evolution. It's wisdom that comes with time, and it's exactly what we need to discuss today. Reason 1. Your physical energy deserves protection. Let's be direct about something. The vitality of youth is finite. You had it once, and it served you well. You could drive from event to event, stay engaged in lengthy conversations, and return home still having energy left for the people who lived with you. That kind of energy felt inexhaustible. But we both know it's different now. Not worse, just different. Your body operates with a specific energy budget, and every activity, whether it's driving, socializing, standing, or smiling through conversation, draws from that budget. When you were younger, the budget felt unlimited. Now, you understand its boundaries. This is where you need permission to be selfish. Your energy belongs to you. If a visit leaves you wiped out for 2 days afterward, that's important information. Your body is telling you it can't afford that expense. Listening to that signal isn't unkind, it's self-respect. Consider redirecting your limited energy toward activities and people that actually lift your spirits, rather than drain you. 1 meaningful hour with someone who lifts your spirits will serve you better than 3 draining hours of social obligation. Reason 2. Expectations grow when you keep meeting them. Here's a harsh truth about human nature. People are remarkably adaptable. When you say yes to something once, people unconsciously expect you to keep saying yes. When you visit every Sunday, skipping one Sunday suddenly feels like a betrayal to the people waiting for you. When you bring homemade dishes to gatherings, store-bought or no-dish options become unacceptable. Psychologists call this expectation escalation. You set a pattern, and that pattern becomes the new baseline. Anyone who has ever said yes to doing a favor repeatedly knows this. People begin to assume you'll continue indefinitely. Expectations don't stabilize, they compound. The woman who visits her daughter every Saturday afternoon eventually finds herself expected to visit twice a week. The grandmother who babysits occasionally becomes the go-to childcare solution. The mother who always shows up becomes the reliable one everyone counts on, sometimes to the point of being taken for granted. At 60 and beyond, you've likely spent decades meeting everyone else's expectations. Your parent needed you, so you showed up. Your children needed you, so you showed up. Your friends needed you, so you showed up. The problem is that saying yes to everything creates an impossible standard, and when you finally need to say no, because you must, people interpret it as you changing, rather than you simply reaching your limit. The way forward isn't to keep meeting escalating expectations, it's to reset them now. Fewer visits that are genuinely wanted creates healthier relationships than frequent visits motivated by obligation. Boundaries protect both you and your relationships. Reason 3. Your home has become your sanctuary. There's something sacred about having a space that's entirely yours. Maybe it took you decades to create it, decorating with colors you love, filling it with books and mementos that tell your story, arranging it exactly as you want. Your home knows your rhythms. It supports your peace. When you leave home for extended socializing, you're leaving that sanctuary. You step into someone else's environment with their noise levels, their scheduling, their expectations, their energy. Even in homes of people you love, there's an element of performance required. You're a guest, even if you're family. You're aware of your surroundings in a way you're not in your own home. Older adults increasingly report that their greatest source of contentment comes from their own space. That favorite chair, that quiet kitchen where you make your coffee exactly right, that window where the afternoon light falls just so. These aren't small things, they're the foundation of daily peace. The logic of spending less time at home and more time visiting other people works against your well-being at this life stage. Your home isn't something you outgrow as you age, it becomes more important. This isn't withdrawal, it's homecoming to the place that supports you most. What if, instead of traveling to see people, you invited them to share your sanctuary? You'd be on your own terms, in your own space, with all your comforts available. The dynamic would shift entirely.
Reason 4. You're released from the burden of being everyone's anchor. Somewhere along the way, our culture assigned women, especially mothers, grandmothers, and longtime family members, the role of being the emotional and logistical center of the family. You're the gatherer, the connector, the one who remembers everyone's important dates and makes sure people stay in touch. This role is exhausting. It's invisible in the sense that people rarely acknowledge the emotional labor that goes into it, but it's heavy nonetheless. You carry responsibility for everyone's happiness, their sense of belonging, their feeling that family matters. If people don't see each other, you feel the weight of that disconnection. Here's what you need to understand. That responsibility was never actually yours to carry. You took it on, perhaps because you saw your mother do it, or because you felt it was the loving thing to do. But your adult children are capable of maintaining their own relationships. Your grandchildren can reach out to their aunts and uncles. Your siblings can initiate gatherings. You are not the necessary glue holding your family together. One of the greatest gifts of reaching 60 and beyond is the permission to set down that burden. You don't need to orchestrate connection. You don't need to be the reason people stay close. You can simply be a participant in family life rather than its manager. This shift is not selfish. It's necessary for your health. When you release yourself from this responsibility, something beautiful happens. The relationships that survive and thrive are often the stronger ones, the ones based on mutual desire rather than obligation. Those are the ones worth your time. Reason 5. This is your time to define your life on your terms. For the first time, perhaps in your entire adult life, your time is genuinely yours. You're not obligated to work for a paycheck. You're not raising children who need your daily guidance. You're not trying to prove anything to anyone. This is the most liberated period you may ever experience. Yet so many people spend this precious time doing exactly what they did when they had less freedom, showing up for others, meeting expectations, performing roles. They wake up at 75 or 80 realizing they've spent their freest years living according to old scripts. What if instead you used this time to discover what brings you genuine joy? What if you stopped accepting invitations out of habit and only said yes to things that truly excite you? What if you finally read the books that have been waiting, took the classes you've always been curious about, or pursued the creative interests you set aside when life got busy? This doesn't mean becoming a hermit. It means being intentional. It means recognizing that your time is finite and choosing how to spend it with wisdom. And frankly, for many people, that means less frequent visits and more focus on things that nourish the soul. Practical steps. How to make this transition. 1. Communicate clearly and early. Don't let people gradually figure out that your visiting patterns have changed. Tell them directly, kindly, and upfront. Send an email or message explaining that you're making lifestyle adjustments to protect your health and well-being.
Be specific about what you can realistically offer, perhaps a visit every 2 weeks or monthly gatherings. Clarity prevents resentment. 2. Establish structured time rather than spontaneous visits. Instead of "let me know when you're free," say "I'm available the second Saturday of each month from 2 to 4 p.m." This removes the constant negotiation and creates predictability everyone can plan around. It also makes it easier to say no to other requests because your schedule is already set. 3. Choose quality over frequency. 3 hours with one person you deeply connect with will nourish you far more than 9 hours scattered among 3 different obligations. Be willing to see fewer people if it means deeper, more meaningful interactions with each. 4. Offer alternatives to physical visits. A weekly phone call might replace a monthly visit. A video chat could work as well as being in person for catching up. A written letter might mean more than a rushed in-person gathering. Let people know you value connection, just in different forms. 5. Don't justify your boundaries excessively. "I'm not able to visit as often anymore" is sufficient. You don't need to explain your medical situation, your energy levels, or your reasoning to everyone. Over-explaining often invites debate. A simple statement followed by your new availability is enough. 6. Prepare for guilt and criticism. Some people will react poorly. They may guilt you, criticize your choices, or suggest you've changed. This is their issue, not yours. You are not responsible for managing other people's feelings about your legitimate boundaries. Expect this reaction and decide in advance that you won't be swayed by it. 7. Fill your time with what nourishes you. Don't just create empty space by reducing visits. Actively pursue things that bring you joy. Whether it's creative pursuits, physical activities, spiritual practices, or simply unstructured time for reflection, make sure your life is full of things you choose. At 60 and beyond, you've earned the right to live on your own terms. You've spent decades giving to parents, children, employers, communities, and countless others. You've shown up. You've proven your loyalty. You've given your time and energy freely. Now, it's time to direct that same loyalty and care toward yourself. This isn't selfish. This is self-preservation. This is wisdom. Real love, the kind that sustains relationships over decades, doesn't require constant presence. It requires respect, honesty, and the willingness to honor each other's growth and changing needs. The people who truly care about you will understand. They'll respect the boundaries you set. They'll appreciate the time you do spend with them because it will feel more genuine, less obligatory, and more present. And the people who can't accept your boundaries, they were never really centered around love anyway. So say no, stay home, protect your peace, protect your energy, protect your time. These are acts of courage and self-love. Your later years don't have to look like your earlier years. In fact, they shouldn't. They can look like whatever you want them to look like. And that possibility is beautiful. This is your life. This is your time. Live it on purpose. Live it with intention. Live it for you. Thank you for watching until the end. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like it and subscribe to the channel. Stay healthy and peaceful. See you in the next video.